I'm Lesley Yellowlees, and I'm Vice Principal and Head of the College of Science and Engineering here at the University of Edinburgh.
And how do you define achievement?
How do I define achievement? I think achievement is different for everybody, and I think it's you setting the goals that you see as being achievement and then delivering to that. So my achievement's not the same as your achievement, and neither should it be. But I think it's recognising in yourself what achievement means.
Now tell me about your background. How did you get to where you are today?
So I did chemistry at university and enjoyed doing an undergraduate degree in chemistry. But at the end of it decided that I didn't want to be in academia any longer and left. And that was the year I say that I made one of the worst decisions in my life and made one of the best decisions in my life. The worst decision was to leave science. So I went to work for the National Health Service as an administrator, and I think in the first week realised that was one of the largest mistakes I've made in my life. And the best thing I ever did that year was to marry my husband, who has stood by me all these years, and it's been a tremendous partnership. And so I did that. I then realised within a year that was a mistake to have left science, so went back to science. But in fact, we emigrated to Australia, my husband and I, and I worked there and realised that if I really wanted a career in science, that I needed a PhD. So we came back to the UK. My husband got a very good job back here, and I came back here and did a PhD here. In other words, I followed him at that point in time. Did a PhD and then did postdocs and became an academic and went through the academic route. I loved science. I liked science. I was good at science, and I think if you're good at something, of course, you enjoy it more often. So, but I wanted to try something different. I think if you always continue doing the one thing, you never know whether you can do anything else or not. And I think sometimes you have to challenge yourself, and you have to go and see if the grass is actually greener somewhere else, and often it is and often it isn't. So I think you have to challenge yourself. So I did. I went to try something else, and I realised that wasn't where my skill set lay. And so I came back to science. Yeah, I would have to say that if I look back over my career, I have spent periods of it being very active in the lab, doing a lot of experiments, doing a lot of hands-on stuff myself. Then I've spent time doing other jobs. Then I've gone back and done experimental work. At the moment, I would say most of my day is spent doing administration, doing management. I think you can't lead 7 schools. I have over 2,000 academics and 8,000 students I have to look after. So I think you've got to realise where I like to think I can do everything, but I do know there's only a limited number of hours in the day, and I do like to have something of a life outside my work. So I think you have to try and find some sort of balance. And so at the moment, I think I don't do it, I know I don't do as much experimental work as I do, but I talk about science. So I talk continually about science. And I talk about science to school children, trying to enthuse them to take up science, because I strongly believe everybody should know about science. Even if you don't want to do it, you should know something about science, because otherwise how do you engage in debate, for example? And I think a lot of the things that we discuss now we should have more scientific input into. So I talk to school children, trying to enthuse them. Then I'll talk to students. I'll talk to people interested in science or people not interested in science. And I'll talk to policymakers, and I'll talk to politicians. But all I want to do is to try and get them to understand how valuable science is to everyday life, and how we need to have people who understand and value science. I liked doing science at school. I liked doing the experiments, and I got the chemistry set when I was young, and I did the chemistry experiments and things, and I just enjoyed being able to do the experiment, being able to try things, being able to to change something and see something different happen. And I think I also liked science because it was possible to get 100% in an exam. I never once heard anybody get 100% for an essay in English. Never once. But you could get it in maths or in science. Now, I'm not saying I ever got it, but I could see it was achievable, whereas I could never see it was achievable to get 100% in English, for example. And I like being able to get or to strive for the 100%. I think if I look back, I've never been one to say that's what I've aimed for, but what I have done is see what opportunities come along and take those opportunities. I've never wanted to look back later and go, I wish I'd done that. You know, when somebody did, I wish I'd tried that. I've always thought, well, I may not get that opportunity again, so take it this time round. So what I try and do is just take the opportunities when they come along, the ones that appeal to me. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities you come along and you think, like, for example, would you like to run a marathon? No thanks. But there are, you know, so I don't know if that makes me sound not ambitious, I don't know, but that's just the way I am. At the moment, I think I've done many things I'm very proud of and that I've enjoyed, but I don't think I've ever particularly set out. I think what I would like to do is to help support young people and young women like yourselves to realise what it is you want to do, you know, and to help you in any way I can by talking to you, you know, listening to your ideas, because sometimes it's just people want to talk about what it is they want to do, and then help you put in place things that will allow you to make it happen, because you've got to make it happen. But